get my 6. You haven't been getting it for the last 5 years. I don't know if I should show my whole self right now. For the last 5 years, none of you have gotten my 6 enough to remind me that it was my anniversary. And so I've forgotten 5 years in a row. Whatever, it's not your fault. So, I've forgotten our wedding anniversary 5 years in a row. Wow, this is the 5th year. We've been together almost 12 years now. We've been married for 5. Sheesh. And I haven't remembered a single time when it's been our anniversary. So I guess you might imagine I'm in the doghouse, huh? Well, if you did, you imagined wrong, because I'm not. And here's why. I have an accomplice. My beautiful bride, dearly, aka Giggly Girl, has also forgotten our anniversary 5 years in a row. Why is this? You might be asking. Is it? Your follow-up question would begin that you picked a very difficult date to remember? No, June 8th, just like the most common date of any anniversary you could have. A lot of you are married on June 8th because, you know, June's all about weddings, and the number 8 represents infinity. It's like, you know, figure 8. It has no beginning, no end. So June 8th is a very common anniversary. So it's not that. Why is it then, would be your tertiary question, that you and your beautiful bride, dearly, aka Giggly Girl, has not remembered your wedding anniversary for the last 5 years, the entire time you've been married? Well, the answer that you've been seeking is because we don't care. We don't care. We've been too busy enjoying life with each other that we don't notice superficial things such as dates and anniversaries. There's a lot of gnats out here, and the cicadas. And this is nice, because after D-Bag asphyxiated my honeybees there, oh, this isn't over. The investigation is still ongoing. I have not been not following up intentionally to leave you hanging. The investigation is still going. But there for like a week, we didn't even hear any cicadas, and there were no gnats, and they were everywhere. And I never noticed that, but a lot of you viewers were pointing that out. So, all right. So that's why we don't remember our anniversary, because, no, we remember birthdays. But the anniversary thing, it's like we've been together almost 12 years, and we always talk about how we can't. That doesn't even seem real, because it still feels like we just started dating. And, excuse me, my belly, you're going to see here in a minute, it's full of, okay, I got to tell it in order. Before I show you this clip. Your mouths are going to water when I show you this upcoming clip, okay? Yeah, we can't figure out where this 10-year-old kid came from. That's like as big as his mom now, and almost as big as me. That's a dog. But just before that, I heard a growl, and I heard a growl from up here too. Okay, so here's why I'm even talking about this today, because of the dinner we had. And it reminded me of this whole thing, and I thought, well, that'd be nice. Talk about how you and your wife never remember your anniversary. And then when we remember, we usually remember 2 weeks after, and here's why. We have some good friends that were married 2 weeks after us, and they always ask us if we would keep their son on that night while they go out to dinner, because he's friends with our son, and of course we always say yes. But that's when we realized when we received that call it's like, oh crap, our anniversary was 2 weeks ago. So that's usually how we get reminded. Now, I think the first year we might have actually remembered, but that was Dearly and Daniel's first full year in America. And Dearly had discovered this nasty little plant called poison ivy. And she had it all over her body, and she had it so bad that we had to take her to our country doctor, who fortunately, again, is 5 minutes down the road. So she was in bed for like a week, just swollen up like crazy, taking all kinds of stuff to get that down. They don't have poison ivy in the Philippines, and so her body had absolutely no resistance to it. But all the other years we completely forgot until our friends called and asked if we would babysit, and that's how we got our reminder. So here it is. The other night, we're having dinner. This was like 3 or 4 nights ago, and Daniel starts talking about lobster. He's craving lobster. He's just craving lobster. And I said, well, when was the last time you had lobster, buddy? And he said he's never had it. And I'm like, you've never had it? He goes, no. And I'm like, well, then why are you craving it? How can you crave something you've never had? And he said he's been watching a bunch of YouTube videos lately for some reason about lobsters and lobster tails and broiled lobsters. I don't know if it was being recommended to him or not, but he was watching these videos. And so I said, we should go out and get you some lobster tail. And I said, I know this place. There's this restaurant in town down here in Charlottesville. I'm going to just tell you where we went, and this is not sponsored, okay? It's called the Aberdeen Barn. And I said, I was there 20 years ago. I went there once. I'm going to tell you some stories about that. I said, but I had lobster tail, and it was delicious. And I've had lobster tail in a lot of places, but this was the best place ever. And Dearly said, isn't that place that you always say we should go eat on our anniversary? Because it's kind of pricey. And I said, yeah, that's it. And she goes, we need to remember our anniversary next year, and we need to go eat there because you're always saying that. We've never done it. And I was like, well, you know what? We're probably going to forget our anniversary again next year because we've forgotten it for 5 years in a row. And none of us are promised tomorrow. And, she had a sister that died 6 months ago that was only 35 years old. Died during she was giving birth. During labor, she died. And I said, let's go down there to the Aberdeen Barn and get this kid some lobster tail. And we don't splurge like this. We're kind of thrifty. I mean, some people might say tight. I like the word thrifty, but we know what it's like to not have money and to not have our needs met from our down and out years in the Philippines. So we don't just go around throwing it around, you know what I mean? Buying gold watches and crap like that. Stupid. So I said, let's just go. I'll make reservations because we're probably going to forget our anniversary next year. So let's just go down there and enjoy a nice meal, and it will be like a 5-year belated anniversary dinner. That's how we can justify, just throwing money away like that on stupid stuff. Hey. And so she was like, okay. And so we did it. And so we went down there. We just got back, and that's why I was trying to cover my, belch there earlier, because my stomach's full of Maryland crab cakes, lobster, and prime rib. Check this out.
Hi.
Happy anniversary times 5 years.
Happy anniversary, everybody.
Even though our anniversary was 2 months ago. That's good. I'm telling the story around this. I want to finish these delicious Maryland crab cakes.
Yep. Me, I'm having a ribeye steak.
No, honey, you're not. You're having prime rib.
Oh, prime rib. Yeah, prime rib steak. It's so good.
Rib.
Oh, yeah, prime rib.
Now tell them how good it is.
It is so good, like super duper good. That's what Kevin having.
Maryland crab cakes. They're delicious.
And I had lobster tail.
Yeah.
So the tail, I had this, the lobster tail. but I ate it all, so I'm having Dad's crab cake.
What you got there, buddy?
Ice cream with syrup and pecans.
That's your dessert?
Yes.
What do they call that? Do you remember the name?
Pecan.
It's called pecan, or Aberdeen.
It's
Aberdeen
dripping.
pecan ball.
Dripping.
It's like pecans, whipped cream, vanilla ice cream, and chocolate syrup. Do you think you can eat all that, buddy?
Potentially.
The next generation. And yes, I've been accused in the comment section of being over dramatic. Well, you know, when I do that right there, like that, that's because I have to insert those video clips that were taken earlier there. And when I'm going like that, zooming fast forward and through that to figure out where to put it out, if I'm not dramatic, I don't know where to put the video, brah. So stop judging. There's a method to the madness. And no, Daniel did not eat that entire dessert, but we did put it in a to-go cup because it was melting. We mixed it up. So now he's got a shake. He's down there finishing now. So, here's my funny story about that place. It's delicious. The service is excellent. The food is great. It's pricey. I mean, before the tip, that was $146. So, and it's funny because we saw this young lady that we know here in our area this morning on our way into town. Her name's Jessie. And if you're watching, Jessie, this is your shout out. Or Jess, short for Jessica. I almost called it because we told her we were going there for dinner, and I said, we'll probably spend $150 just on the three of us. She's like, I was like, we don't normally eat this way. But Jess is new to the area. She came from a small town in a, Midwestern state. And it's so funny. And I love Charlottesville. I love Charlottesville to death. This is my adopted hometown. Listen, none of us have any say in the town we grew up in because we're kids, right? We didn't. But when we grow up, and if we want to leave, and there's nothing wrong with staying where you're from, a lot of folks do that. Most folks. But if you travel around, you visit different places, if you find a place you just really like so much you want to stay there, these communities can become our adopted homes, and Charlottesville has become mine because I love the place here. There's so much to do. It's rich in culture. Gotta love UVA football and basketball and baseball and field hockey and track and field and all that. Just so much. And I love the people. The people are great. The people are the best part because they leave you the hell alone. Like, you can be out with your family and just everybody's doing their own thing. They're everywhere. They're polite. They're cordial. But there's a lot of folks in the area. It's a university town, and it's progressive. And there's a lot of folks who seek to find offense in any comment that is made toward them. It's how it goes. And so this girl from this different place from out in the Midwest was kind of telling me about how that's confusing for her because where she comes from, it's not like that. And the biggest thing is, like, if you're just saying things in jest, if you're being a bit charismatic, you have personality. You're just having a personality, and you say something, tongue in cheek or whatever. There are a lot of folks here who take it heart attack seriously and will find offense in it and will let you know that they're offended, that what you've said has offended them. And then they expect you to grovel for the next 15 minutes and plead and beg for their forgiveness that you've offended them, okay? I mean, I could share examples of how this has happened recently. Whatever. I shared an example with Jess today. We went somewhere, it's been probably 6 months ago, and there was this young woman in this plaza. She was Middle Eastern. She was probably early 20s, drop dead gorgeous. I mean, she looked like a supermodel, right? And she was playing a violin, and it was had like a Bluetooth connection to an electric amplifier. It's like a street performer, right? She was a street performer. And she had a sign that said, "Our family has been hard hit by COVID-19. Anything helps." And she had the link down there for her. There's some app or something you can go to online where people can make donations to you electronically, right? We stood there, me, my wife, my son, we stood there and we watched her, we listened to her play. And, you know, I felt like giving her money, but I thought, nah, I got a better idea. I can like just go live for a few minutes. And I did this with a street performer, another street performer about a month ago. I said, I could go live and show her playing and show that, you know, that link where people could give her, you know, $5, whatever. And I thought if I do that in front of potentially 250,000 people here on this channel, I could really help this young lady and her family. So my son had an event going on inside this place. So we go inside and I'm thinking, you know, when he gets started and he gets going, and it's all, you know, hands off with the parents anyway, I'm going to go outside and record this girl. She's out here. My heart went out to her because her family, you know, was having some problems due to COVID-19. She was a very talented musician and she was just beautiful, period. So I thought, man, I'm going to help her. I'm going to go out here. This are my plans. So we go into the place and, there was a mid 50-ish year old Caucasian woman in there. I can't remember her name, so we'll just call her Karen, okay? For simplicity purposes. So we go in there, and Karen's standing there staring out the window at this girl playing music. And I said, oh, you noticed her too. She's great, isn't she? And she says, yes, I've been watching and listening. And I said, well, she doesn't look like your typical degenerate, does she? I guess you folks get it. You're like, you love my sense of humor. I was being facetious. You know, she's like, Karen got angry. She looks at me and she's like, oh, what does a typical degenerate look like? And I said, not that. And then she starts some spiel about whatever, street performance. I said, listen, I said, you know exactly what I meant. You're not going to, this game they play around here of I'm offended first. You didn't just kick off and I received, you know, and now I've got to grovel, see if I can get a first down with my groveling. And then maybe when you speak, you'll offend me. And then you get to grovel while I'm trying to forgive you for the offense that was in your statement that I know you didn't mean. So whatever. It's one of those things. But I said, just stop right there. I said, look, I can only control what I say. I can't control how you take what I say. You know exactly what I meant. I was complimenting this beautiful young woman for her music and she's just pretty. And Karen still was angry and she started to get, I said, listen, I know where I stand with you now. We won't speak again. That's a true story. And I haven't spoken with that Karen since. And my life's been better for it. So I told this to this young lady today, and she said, yeah, well, here's my funny story about where we had dinner. The Aberdeen Barn. I was there one time. It was 20 years ago. I was a stockbroker here, you know, fresh out of West by God, Virginia, and I'm over here for 8 years being an investment broker for these, you know, a lot of folks around here. Well, we were taken to dinner there, me and 2 or 3 other brokers who were fresh out of Darden Business School at the University of Virginia. Their dads were partners in the firms, got them the jobs or whatever. So we were taken to dinner there by what's called, well, I call them mutual fund lobbyists. They're actually called mutual fund wholesalers. But they're these guys from these big mutual fund companies that will come to town every month, get a bunch of brokers from the same house together, take them out to dinner, like these $50 to $100 dinner plates, wine them and dine them, and then get them thinking they're great, and then so they go sell their customers their mutual funds. Well, it's one of those things. That's why I call them lobbyists. Dude, you're not a wholesaler. You're a damn lobbyist, right? So anyway, we're talking about the food, and they're talking about how delicious the lobster brisk was and the oyster Rockefeller and all that stuff. He got to me and said, what about you, Kevin? You ever eat anything this good back in West by God, Virginia? Well, I don't take that crap. I was like, well, the food here is really good, but I'll tell you what I'm excited about. I'm excited about one of those after dinner mints they've got back in there in them restrooms I was just in. They're like, huh? There's no mints in the restroom. I said, well, the hell there isn't. The urinals are filled with them. of course, I just became, I just confirmed that I was the hillbilly white trash that they wanted to assume I was because of where I was raised. They didn't like that joke. But aside from that, let me tell you, UVA football is great. So, June 6th of next year, everybody remind me that my anniversary is in 2 days. See you for more next time.